I have a very special guest on the Full Circle today. She is the guitarist, songwriter, and founding member of the incredible band Conquer Divide, who blend in heavy and melodic so well with lyrics inspired by their own personal experiences. They released two incredible new songs last year and did a top collab this year with Stitched Up Heart as well. She also works as a critical care nurse and has reflected on the ups and downs that this job can bring through her lyrics over the years. An absolute honor to have on the Full Circle this week. Her name is Kristen Sturgis. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, Christine.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
Thank you for that great intro.
Oh, no, absolutely deserved. How are you?
Right, good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Are you able? I know it's been a busy start to the year. Have you been able to sort of wind down a bit and have some downtime?
Not really. It's been a crazy start to the year. We had our friend's wedding straight away at the beginning of the year. My husband's birthday. Well, also we celebrated that while we were down in Miami for my friend's wedding. It was like a week long celebration. Uh, had to go straight to NAMM, which is, a big convention out in Anaheim every year, like 100,000 people
Wow.
for music, and it's kind of like, I guess I could describe it as going to a giant Guitar Center, or I don't know what the equivalent would be in the UK as far as music stores goes, but it's just everybody playing drums at the same time, and it's extremely loud, and everyone's trying to talk over each other. It just it's just, I don't know, noise overload. It's like an introvert's worst nightmare, so I can only handle so much of it, and I need to go recharge, but it's kinda cool. You get to see, like, Stevie Wonder walking around, and a lot of famous musicians are there and famous producers, so it's kinda cool. Um, yeah, so went straight to that, and then, immediately after that, Shiprocked, which is, like a week-long cruise that goes from Miami to Nassau and back, and if for anybody that has never done a music cruise, it's kind of like being at a festival for a three-day weekend, only that it's one that you can't escape, and there's just music everywhere, like, even when you dock and go to the island and you wanna get some R&R and beach time, nope, there are bands playing on the beach, circle pits in the water, there's no relaxing, it's just go, go, go. So, it's fun, but it's also, like, an introvert's second worst nightmare after NAMM. Oh, man. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, got back from that. We were, invited to play on it as part of this, group called the Stowaways. So, essentially, they put together, like, a super group of a bunch of different rock bands, and we all play cover songs. So, I got to play, different cover songs with, like, members of the band Lit, Ice Nine Kills, 10 Years. So, it was really cool to be able to jam with those guys, and then yeah, just hang out and party for the rest of the time, watch your friends' bands play, and yeah, it was cool. But anyway, so yeah, got home from that and immediately back to writing because 'cause we're, about to be in the studio in, like, 3 weeks here to start tracking, a little bit for, our next album, so yeah, it's just go, go, go.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in between all the working contingent as a nurse, in between, so working in the hospital, like, just chaos.
How'd you have the time? Like, how'd you have the time to do anything else?
I don't.
Oh, well, thank you so much for giving some of your so little time that you have to come on here. That really means a lot. And
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to ask about the new album. So you've written most of the songs now, and you're going to be getting in the studio a few weeks, and then hopefully sometime this year, maybe there might be something coming out, or is it going to be a bit
Yeah, I
longer?
I hope so. I don't know for sure yet 'cause, the label still has to kinda pick the singles. We've still gotta go, film, music videos and all that, so I don't know exactly, but I would imagine we'll be dropping some singles, throughout the year. I just don't have dates yet or anything. And hopefully an album either later this fall or early next spring is kinda the tentative plan, but again, I don't know.
Excellent. And you've already, I mean, you've got, I know you're doing Sonic Temple later this year. Any other, hopefully a return back to the UK at some
I
point?
hope so. I don't know about this year. We've kind of, we toured overseas twice on the last album cycle, so probably won't be back overseas until the new album comes out, and then we've gotta tour the States again, and then they'll probably send us back to Europe and the UK, so it might be a little bit, but we'll be back.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we're gonna hear the songs that you've chosen for the full circle, and it's it's we've gone for songs that are all Conquer Divide songs, 4 Conquer Divide songs that people must hear if they've never heard you guys before, but hopefully they will have. But what's tell us a bit about the songs that you've chosen as a bit of a preview.
Sure, so I chose New Heaven, Paralyzed, Welcome to Paradise, and The Ocean Between Us, so 3 from, Slow Burn, and then 1 that will be off our upcoming record, and they all have very different meanings. Again, I can't really correlate any of them to each other, but yeah, they're all great songs, so yeah.
Nice. What's the first one? What's the first song then that you wanna that we want people to listen to? That's the first song.
Um, so I guess in no particular order, I'll just go with Paralyzed. That was, one that I wrote, during working as a nurse during COVID, um, and just kinda seeing, unfortunately, all the deaths, because I was a first responder working in the ICU, um, in the first wave, right after it hit New York, it started making its way out to us in the Midwest, and I signed up and volunteered to work, over at the University of Michigan, for a contract there, and I mean, it was pretty insane, and just seeing 90% of the unit die. We were in an 80-bed unit, and I think maybe, I don't know, 10 people walked out of there at the end of it. It was really scary. There was even, a physician who came from a different hospital. Um, he was an ER doctor intubating people, and that hospital was not providing N95s, from what I was told. They didn't have, PAPRs or anything, and so he was just getting a super high viral load, ended up on ECMO in our unit. He was one of the ones that made it out of there, thank God, but, yeah, it just, like, when you're in it, I guess you're just too busy to think about what's happening around you, and you're not really processing it, but Paralyzed was kind of about the experience of going through all that, and, the depression that kinda crept up on me from seeing all that, yeah. I don't know, I'm sure you were working during the pandemic as well, or were you? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I was, but we were
Yeah.
actually in Australia
Okay.
when the pandemic took place, so we worked there, and it wasn't I mean, from my colleagues, it was pure chance that that happened. It wasn't the same experience as what my colleagues had in the
Oh,
UK.
okay.
It was yeah, we were from a personal perspective, we were pretty fortunate. But my colleagues, I think they really saw like had similar experiences to yourself, and I think it was yeah, pretty horrendous to be honest. Because I was going to actually ask, I mean, do you still sort of get flashbacks of those times, or
Oh,
how?
yeah. Oh,
Mm,
yeah. I remember, like, really crazy stuff, like getting report, um, from another nurse, and within that 15-20 minute changeover, I'd walk into the room and the patient had already passed. Like, stuff like that was crazy. The, and, the University of Michigan, if you're not familiar, is like a top 10 hospital, in the country. So, it was like best case scenario for these people, top doctors, all the best equipment, and still we were losing people as they were trying to figure it out. They didn't realize right away, that it was causing massive blood clots in patients, so we weren't putting people on heparin right away, but, I mean, they were changing stuff daily, so immediately, as soon as they started figuring that out, "Oh, "Okay, everybody gets a heparin drip." Um, and they trialed some different stuff in the beginning where we were so short on ICU nurses that they were giving us 4 patients instead of the traditional 2, and then they were having, um floor nurses come in to help do sort of ancillary tasks like bed baths and things like that, turning patients, but they quickly realized that wasn't working either because those nurses weren't paying attention as they're turning the patients. They're not looking at the monitors, and they turn the patient on their bad lung, and now they're desatting, and they go into cardiac arrest and die during the bath. So they immediately, after, like, 2 days of trialing that, "Alright, no more floor nurses, get them out of here, they're just gonna be runners." So it was, like, trial and error, just using the resources and people that we had. It was just crazy to see, and plus, in the beginning, the virus was I don't know, I guess the way I sort of explain it to people. I'm sure when the flu first showed up on the scene, it was probably a lot more deadly, but viruses over time kind of mutate because they're not very good at being viruses if they kill all their hosts. They can't spread as easily. So in the beginning, COVID was killing everybody and nobody had immunity to it. It was crazy, but over time now it's a lot better. If you get COVID, most likely you're not going to die. Um, so it's better now, but back then it was not. And I tried explaining that to even my own family, my parents. I don't know. You just don't get it unless you're unless you're there seeing it firsthand. Yeah, it was crazy. Um, and so that yeah, that definitely hit me, and that's what Paralyzed was about. Yeah.
Oh no, no, fair, no. Yeah, the first song on the Full Circle, Concretified, Paralyzed, and that was, I must admit when that was the first song that I actually heard from you, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really great song, and it got me into you guys. And but I must admit, it was only quite recently before that I understood what the meaning was, and I was like, oh man, that really brings it to a whole new level.
Yeah. That's a deep one. Sorry, not to get all
No,
depressing or anything.
no, no. And I guess we've spoken a bit about your role as as a critical care. Are you still working in Michigan as a critical care nurse or?
Yeah, I work in Detroit at a level 1 trauma center. Um, that I've been there for quite a long time, but, gosh, 17 years now. Long time, but in between that, I have traveled around, so after that initial, um, contract that I did over at the University of Michigan, I started flying around to hotspots to help out. So I was in Los Angeles for a while, I was in Santa Monica, um, helping there. I went to Fort Lauderdale for a while. I went to Phoenix to help out, on a reservation hospital. So interesting, the different sort of patient populations you see when you travel around a bit. Um, and yeah, I don't know, I had an idea about California being a little bit more progressive, but I was very surprised when I was there, and the unit that I was on was all ECMO patients. There were a lot of anti-vax doctors,
Oh
ICU
wow,
doctors there. They were very vocal about it, and I'm like, "This is so interesting to me because traditionally, I would think it would be more, I don't know, conservative states where you would see that, but I was surprised to see it in California. Um, but yeah, and then,
nice
and
surprise.
then I go to somewhere like Fort Lauderdale, and it was hit really hard at the time. And but they just didn't care. Florida, they're like all the restaurants were open, the bars were wide open, and my husband and I, we would go out, but we would be very selective about where we were going. It would have to have outdoor seating where we're sitting away from people. There's a nice cross breeze where I'm not gonna do something irresponsible and, like, catch COVID while I'm down there. And we had, like, waiters and bartenders encouraging us to, "Oh, you don't need to wear your mask. We don't care about that down here." And I'm like, "You guys realize why I'm here, right? It's because like, Fort Lauderdale has been hit the hardest out of, like, any other city in the state right now." Like, oh gosh, just I don't know,
Yeah.
craziness.
I know it's such a yeah, it's such. I mean, it's feels that part of life just feels like like did it actually happen almost like it was just such a different time.
Oh, it's so different.
Yeah,
So different. It's crazy that it's been 6 years now. Crazy to think
yeah.
about. It's been that long.
Yeah. I'm not sure I should be sharing this. Actually, I'm just gonna share it. When I was in Australia, there was a colleague who was absolutely adamant, COVID's this, it's not an issue, it's not gonna affect me, it's never gonna affect me. And then literally, as he said that 2 days later, he got COVID, and because we were all close contacts, we were then all out of work for like 2 weeks, and
Oh,
it
no.
just it was just that like just that
Yeah.
stubbornness of being like, "No, it's not an issue," and then yeah, I mean, thankfully, like I say, in Australia, it wasn't as much of an issue, but in the UK, I know it wasn't handled very well, and I know that, the lockdown stuff there was just, yeah, a bit of a mess, and then they got people out, and then another wave happened. It just prolonged the whole situation, and
Yeah, that was
thank good
bad.
yeah,
I had family members and friends as well that yeah, that were arguing with me about, "Oh, it's not that bad. I'm not gonna catch it, and this is inconveniencing me because I can't go to the doctor to get my, I don't know, whatever non-life threatening medication," and stuff like that, and I'm just like, "Guys, like, it's so hard to convey to people, even people that are close to you when they're not seeing it firsthand, you know?"
yeah, I've this podcast isn't really a healthcare podcast, to be honest, but unfortunately, the COVID vaccine coming out, I think it has led to, unfortunately, a rise in people just not having vaccines in general. In London, measles has now come back.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it's I don't know.
It's going
It's
back here too.
oh dear. Yeah, how do you
Uh
feel about that?
Uh, not great. I'm very, very pro-vax. So yeah, that's a struggle as well.
But like you said, I've got colleagues at work who are now asking me like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get the flu vaccine because of this," and you're just like, "Oh, well, like, you probably should." Like, I don't know, like, what have you stopped now? What's changed? And I think it's because of, how some people have spun about the COVID vaccine. Of course,
Mhm.
there were gonna be some side effects from it because the whole population was getting it. So, of course,
Yeah, of
unfortunately, some
course
people are
you're
gonna
gonna
have a
see.
yeah,
Yeah,
but,
but as a whole, it's meant to protect the weak and help
yeah,
everybody. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
Let let's I'm gonna ask you a question on Would You Rather. So it's good. We're gonna talk more about healthcare in a second. So let's move on to the second song though. So so you got three more songs. What's the second song then that you want to go for?
I guess we could talk about New Heaven. So that one, I guess I wrote from a place of like um, chasing, my music dream for so long that when you finally start to climb up the mountain and hit some of the goals that you dreamed about years and years ago, it almost feels like you get to the top of the mountain and you're like, is this all there is? You become disillusioned and you feel like you need a new high to chase. Um, instead of just appreciating, uh, I don't know where you've gotten. Like, I guess if I could look back at 16-year-old me, I'd be so stoked at where I am now, but it's hard to see it when it's taken X amount of years to get here and you still want more and more. I don't know. I guess that's the best way to sum that one up. Um, and that one's a tricky one because I wrote it through a metaphorical lens of religion, and so a lot of people get it misconstrued and think it's about God or um, being anti-religious, but it's not. It's totally about the music industry.
New Heaven, the second song on the Full Circle. What is your take on the music industry in general? Do you think it's a positive thing, or do you think there are some like challenges that we need that you have had to overcome with it? Or
Yeah, it is a good thing. I guess it's always been an outlet for me. Songwriting is very cathartic. It's kind of like therapy. So in that way, um, it's a good thing. But there are very high highs and very low lows. So like, uh, I don't know. It's a roller coaster to be on for sure. And when you're not on that high and you hit those low points, you start having all these thoughts like, "Oh, man, I'm just," you get, like, imposter syndrome and things like that, so, it kinda messes with your head a little bit about your own ability, and yeah, sometimes, I don't know, I'm surprised I made it as far as I did because I feel like I faked my way into it in the beginning, fake it till you make it kind of, but eventually, after you've done it for so long, you kinda get good, you get pretty decent songwriting, but yeah, in the beginning, I had a really bad imposter syndrome, and it sometimes creeps back in on that roller coaster that is the music industry. We've also faced other unique challenges, um, being females in the industry. Um, we've hit a lot of roadblocks where Um, I don't know, even just shopping around at different booking agencies, for example, we've been told, I won't name names, but we've been told, "Oh, we already have a girl on this booking agency," or "We already have a female fronted band," and it's like, "Well, we don't sound anything like that other band." You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
come on.
imagine an all-male band going to a booking agency and the agency telling them, "Sorry, we've already got all these other male bands." Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So there's still a lot of misogyny in the industry to overcome. There's crazy things in the US where, it's apparently been like this since the '50s in pop radio and country radio specifically, where they cannot play, more than 1 song in a row that has a female vocalist on it.
What?
So, a famous example of this is Evanescence's "Bring Me to Life." Their label had to get that male rapper on the chorus in order so they could get more airplay, and that still exists today, and so, we still run into that where we've got industry people saying, "You need to get a male feature on this song so we can, make the most out of our radio campaign," or whatever it is, so that's just I don't know, 2 small examples of, some industry issues that women specifically face.
That's just baffling, absolutely baffling, and that is just discrimination. I just don't. I mean, I don't think that happens in the UK anymore. But the fact and that's still happening to this day. So you still get these
Yeah,
booking issues and radio issues for that for just because you're female.
yeah.
That's terrible.
It's getting a little better. I think we're starting to see a little bit more female representation in recent years. I'm seeing labels in our scene picking up more female fronted bands, so that's all a good sign. But yeah, there's still stuff like that that exists behind the curtain. And then of course there's like the smaller day-to-day things where you're carrying your gear into the venue and people think you're the girlfriend or you're not gonna perform on stage later. So one time, many years ago, on one of the first tours we ever did, the promoter at a venue, um, thought that we were merch girls for all the other bands. So we went along with it and we're like, "All right, we're gonna pretend" it was like a 5-band package, there were 5 of us, so we just pretended to be the crew for all the other bands until it was, like, our time to go up on stage, and the promoter was blown away. And then after that, he took us all out for drinks, and, he was kind of known to be a sort of well, I don't wanna swear, but sort of a dickhead. So all the other bands warned us about him specifically. They're like, "Watch out for this guy, he's kinda mean." But after we sort of broke through that barrier and he was completely shocked by, our playing and took us out for drinks afterwards, we were, like, best friends with us, and all the other bands were like, "Whoa, what happened?" Like, "How did you win him over?" I don't know. It's kinda cool. But, yeah, um, I don't know. There's stuff like that that happens as well. But you just you just gotta push through and work harder, I guess.
Yeah, but that's just yes. Shouldn't be happening. Obviously, it's easy for me to say that. I guess it's about tackling ways to minimize that or stop that, and it's easier
Mhm.
said than done. I mean, I guess the other thing is also, with the rise of social media and things like that, that's tough. I think I've noticed that. I mean, I think this week there's been some things. I think Beartooth released a new song, and I think that's been a lot of like again just for his appearance and things like that. Like it's just I
Yeah.
don't know. I just think that's just not on.
It's pretty ruthless out there.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, we get ripped apart for our appearance as well in comments, and I mean, you just learn to kind of brush it off, but yeah, it happens. If your weight fluctuates or something, they don't care about the song, and they don't care about all the time you spent writing it. They don't, they just yeah, they'll tear you down for your look. So it sucks. And I can imagine Caleb is probably fed up with that and was like, I'm gonna just delete my Instagram. I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fair. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever been like, "Do you know what? Forget social
I mean,
media,"
I wish
or
I could. Yeah, I would. I've thought about it because I'm more introverted, so I keep my social media alive just specifically for the band. But yeah, I would love to just go dark, to be honest.
no, fair. Right, I want to ask you some would you rather questions. I don't know how easy this is going to be for you. Would you rather give up working in healthcare or give up working in the music industry?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I yeah, probably healthcare, just because music is my passion. It's always been. At the end of the day, I love caring for people. I love what I do as a nurse, but just due to the state of healthcare in the US, it's tough. You know, especially in the way the US system is run, as opposed to other countries. It is a lot of for-profit hospitals, and they're constantly squeezing us, unsafe staffing ratios, things like that, that
Mm.
more or less would make me wanna be more inclined to give that up as opposed to music.
Sure. Because I did want to clarify about that. So obviously, yeah, so the UK system is, like a public healthcare system, so it's paid through taxes. So in America, so every patient you will treat has to get billed at the end of it, depending on what treatment they get. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Even emergency life-saving treatment?
Yeah, they usually have, yeah, the patient either has insurance, or they're on, like, our government systems here, which would be Medicare, Medicaid, or, they're cash pay, essentially. And, it's crazy because even if you have insurance, it doesn't guarantee anything, as I just learned. So, I had after our, first European tour that we did with the warning, I came back from that and I ended up having a kidney stone. And we had really good insurance, like, at least we thought top tier. And so I was like, "Oh, no worries, this is gonna be covered." I went in, I had 2 separate surgeries to get it removed. The first time they had to put a stent in and all that. They couldn't get it out right away, had to wait for the swelling to go down, so I came back in a week later, and they were able to get it. But a couple months after that, I was still having ongoing issues. I was having, like, hematuria and pain still, and this was maybe, like, 4 months out from the surgery. Um, and I went in for a follow-up CAT scan, um, just to get things checked out under the hood, make
Yeah.
sure it was all good. They said they couldn't see anything, so it was fine. And this was right before our insurance expired, which would have been December 31st. So I think this was the day after Christmas. I had to go in,
Oh,
like,
man.
over a year ago to get it checked out. So everything from, as far as I know, is fine, because in my mind, I'm thinking, "Okay, we're covered. It's all good." So then a whole year goes by, and I get a bill, from a collection agency saying that I owe 6 grand for this CAT scan that I had. Um, and as it turns out, the insurance company not only denied it and didn't cover it, but they were sending the bill to my old address that doesn't receive mail anymore, so it bounced back. So I had no idea, because normally the way insurance works here, you have a chance to appeal it.
Okay.
That you're legally supposed to have a chance to appeal a denial, and you go through a process where you say, "I believe I should be covered for this," and you go back and forth with them, and eventually they say yes or no. And then if that doesn't work, you can kick it up to, like, your state's Department of Insurance and get them after them. And but anyway, I was sort of denied the appeal process because I never got the mail, and so it had already gone to collection. So I had to go through this whole thing where I had to go straight to the Michigan Department of Insurance. I had to email, like, senators and congressmen and all this crazy stuff to try to get the insurance company to reverse their decision. So, like, finally, after, I don't know, 2 months of doing that, they finally reversed it. But, um, they get away with that kinda stuff because most people, they bank on people not fighting against their denials, essentially. So, around 60% of people will just let it go and they'll just pay for it themselves. And so that's where they make a lot of their money. But the people that fight back, um, eventually, oftentimes you can get them to reverse their decision, but it takes a lot of tenacity, and people often can't do that if they're going through cancer treatments, or, they're mentally not able to, like I am. I had to spend hours and hours writing these letters to get, like, them to reverse their decision, and so it's crazy. The stuff that I've found out just from dealing with this one denial is absolutely insane. I found out that insurance companies will they've got, like, a whole department that will try and figure out whether or not, they can get away with not paying for you. So, they're like, "Okay, this person has this type of cancer. They're probably gonna die in 6 months. We're gonna deny all of it, because they won't be alive to fight it." It's insane. Thankfully, for me, I was able to get mine reversed, but I'm just like, ugh, I don't know, I don't know if I wanna retire in the US at this point because you know, this is just one kidney stone. I can only imagine what happens as you age, you know what I mean? And
Scary.
yeah.
I'm glad you managed to get your money back. I mean, that's something. I mean, it's annoying the hoops you had to jump through just to
Mhm.
get it back. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just I think obviously in the UK it's such a novel. It's just something that we just cannot even comprehend. Because I also wanted to know. I mean, what are the general typical American view on a universal, publicly funded healthcare that they have to pay?
Um, that's a good question. I'm not really sure where I'd have to look at some public polling numbers, but I think it's definitely split. Um, I would love to have a system or at least the option of 2 systems where there is a public option and a private option if because I've seen the downsides of, for example, um, the Canadian healthcare system as well, because I work at a border hospital, so, I'm right on the border of Canada, and we have a lot of not only Canadian nurses that work at our hospital, I think maybe 30% of the hospital is staffed by Canadian nurses, but also we get a lot of Canadian patients coming over, and I've had patients before where, um, they found a tumor and the biopsy they scheduled them 9 months out or something to get biopsied for it over in Windsor, and so sometimes they'll pay out of pocket and come over to the States because they can get biopsied, like, within a week or 2, and, thankfully, some of my patients were able to do that, and they found out it was in fact cancer, and if they would've waited the 9 months, they would've died. So, I've kinda seen both sides of it, but, the flip side is it can often in having an only for-profit system, it can often bankrupt people, um, which is also a scary thought, so I think some happy medium, or at least the option to have both would be great, because we're already kind of subsidizing patients anyway, like, you know, I had a patient that, had a double lung transplant and a heart transplant, and he was in our ICU for almost 2 years with recurring, infections and, rejections and things like that, and he had, like, a 2 to $3 million bill racking up that he couldn't pay, obviously, but the hospital, they end up writing that off, and so taxpayers are almost subsidizing it anyway, so I don't know, we might as well figure out some sort of government system for
Yeah.
people, but I don't have the answer.
No, that's fair. No, hopefully, yeah. I mean, like, I guess moving straight from, from like completely private to like public, I guess would be a big jump. I think the NHS in the UK, I think it's one of the things a lot of the British public are very proud of and very, very, grateful for. But I also think
Mhm.
maybe funding is becoming a bit of an issue now. Like, and it is meaning longer waits in A&E and just longer waiting lists in general. So I guess is sort of catching up with an aging population and etc. So I guess that yeah, I guess there's pros and cons to both. But I guess I would rather have the system we have here than in America, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I used the NHS one time when I was over in the UK on vacation. I can't even remember. It's been so many years now, but I had to go in for something and yeah, didn't have to pay a dime. I was just there on vacation. They saw me. It was quick in and out, and I think gave me some Tylenol or something, and that was that. But I remember I was like, "Whoa, no bill! Like this would at least be like $300 in the States
Wow.
to see somebody even for 15 minutes. Yeah. Alright, like, to give you an idea, my whole kidney stone ordeal, where I had 2 surgeries, 3 CAT scans, um, and, like, I think 3 different trips to the ER was ended up being close to $100,000.
What?
Yeah. The insurance luckily covered most of it, so I only had to fight back for that 1 CAT scan that didn't get covered, but yeah, if I
Oh, thank
didn't have
goodness.
yeah, it's crazy.
Like you say, if you didn't have that, then you'd have to pay for that.
Yeah. Which, thankfully, a lot of hospitals, if you don't have insurance, they will give you a discount. So it
Good.
might not have been as much, maybe like half or something or a little less, but still,
That's still a lot of money.
it's a lot.
Yeah, my
Uh,
goodness.
crazy.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Would you rather be pranked but not take it well, or prank someone else and get in serious trouble for it?
Hmm. Oh man. Maybe the first one? I don't know. Um, I've done some pretty good tour pranks in my day, and we've never gotten in serious trouble for them, but I think, some of the bands maybe didn't take it as well as I had hoped, but we never got in trouble. Um, we used to love doing end of tour pranks. It's kind of like a tradition, um, at the end of some tour. Not every band does it, but some bands participate in it, and we did a tour years ago with, a band that no longer exists called Slaves. I think they eventually changed their name to Rain City Drive or something, but it's, like, all new members now, so not the same lineup, but, um, it was their last tour, and so we're like, "We're gonna get them good," so I, I went to our local Walmart, and I spent hours doing this. Um, I bought really cheap Russian vodka, I think it was, like, Pop-Off vodka or something, and I bought a case of water, and I replaced every single bottle of water with vodka. And I even bought super glue, and I glued the rings back to the lid so it would snap when you opened it. I spent, like, hours doing this, um, and finally, like, brought it into the venue, and it was their time to play, and I hid the real tour water. Like, stuffed it under the stage and put the fake water up there, and, tour managers passing out, like, 2 bottles to everybody, um, and, anyway, they start playing, and, like, the drummer ends up being the thirstiest one after the first song is over, but their show is, like, on a timer. A lot of bands, their shows are on timers. It's all running on a laptop or whatever, so they can't stop, and so he has, like, a moment to take a drink because he's doing the most cardio. He's thirsty, and, of course, it's all vodka, and it's really bad vodka at that, so he spits it out all over the drum set because that was, like, a huge surprise. I'm watching in the back of the venue, like, behind the merch table, like and and then their next song starts, like, he doesn't have time to flag anyone down, like, he looks panicked, and he's just gotta go into the next song. And eventually, um, I think, they played 2 more songs, and the guitar player opened his up, and he realizes it's vodka, and I see him, like, freaking out, and he's trying to flag down the tour manager, and he's, like, pointing over to the tour water and trying to get him to check it, and the tour manager walks over to the case, and he's opening up each one, and it's still vodka. Every single one's vodka, and he's
Oh,
like I see
no.
him going like this, and he's looking around for real water, and I think he's trying to run over to the bar to get cups of water, and I'm just dying in the back, like, this is great. And in the meantime, while all this was happening, the rest of the tour package was outside covering their van and trailer in sticky notes, like, little Post-it notes that were all colorful from head to like, just from bottom to top, van, trailer, all of it just completely covered. So, by the time they came out, yeah, they had to peel them off. I think they ran out of time, and they ended up just driving with the sticky notes on, and they made it all the way back from California, I think, to, like, Seattle or something with sticky notes still all over their van.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, we had to send 'em out with them. send them out with a bang because that was their last tour.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Have other bands pranked you?
Yeah, Capture the Crown took our seat out of our van and put it on top of our trailer, but we got them back by taking the tire off their trailer, and we rolled it on stage during their set. So, I think it took them a minute. They were using it as, like, a riser, stepping on putting one foot on it, and I think it took them a minute to realize, "Oh, this is our tire."
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, we had that happen to us. They also put glitter in our vents, in the van, so every time we turned the AC on, it would just blow glitter everywhere. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my
We don't
goodness.
do that as much as we used to when we were younger, but we used to enjoy doing crazy tour pranks. My other favorite one, um, that we did, on this last tour with Anchor, so our bass player looks a lot like the bass player of Anchor. They look very similar, and so I convinced them they had to kind of do this with each other and not tell the rest of Anchor, but we had Spencer, go up there and take his place, and the rest of them it took them, like, a couple songs to realize it wasn't their bass player. Meanwhile, the real bass player, because 'cause he's got a wireless bass, he's standing side stage playing the songs, and Spencer's just up there kinda miming, but they didn't realize it for, like, a while. They had the same clothes and everything. It was really good.
How did they find out? How did they realize?
I think the singer noticed eventually. She turned around and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I have it on video. It's so good." But, yeah, it took her a second, and then eventually the rest of the band followed suit and realized it wasn't their member.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe less pranks happening, but hopefully one every so often, as long as no one gets upset about it. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Okay, last one. Would you rather listen to one song forever or any song once only?
Oh god, that's horrible. Um, uh, I'd probably have to go with the second one because although I do listen to songs that I like a lot. I'll listen to them hundreds of times until they're just ingrained in me. I don't think I could do it forever because I think that would be like a slow form of torture. It's like Chinese water torture or something. Eventually, your brain's gonna melt. I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably have to go with the second one, but that's horrible too. God, imagine hearing like the best song ever, and then you can only hear it that one time. That sounds
You'd savor
terrible.
the moment. You'd savor the moment though. You'd be like, I know where I was when I heard that song, even if you can hear it again. It'd be like having like a delicious meal or something like that. You'd savor that moment, knowing, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I'm gonna just take this in while I can. What would be the okay? Let's just say you could only listen to one song forever. What song would you choose?
Oh my god. Um, I don't know if I would choose a song. Maybe like a frequency or something like brown noise or something calming. 'Cause again, I wouldn't want the song would drive me insane to listen to it that many times. So, yeah, I think it would just be like, I don't know, pink noise or brown noise. That would be
Okay,
my song.
okay. Yeah. Guess technically that doesn't count,
Like a
but okay, I'll let you
soothing
have it.
uh, yeah,
No, that's
sorry. I
fine.
don't know. It's a
No, it's
really
all
it would
good.
probably I mean, if it was gonna be a song, it would probably be a Tool song because at least those are 10 minutes and
Yeah.
not quite as repetitive as, other songs, so
That's a good shout, actually. That's a good
yeah.
shout. The longer the song, the less likely you're gonna get,
Yeah.
bored of it. Yeah, no, that's a good one. No, thanks for answering those would you rathers. What's the third song then? 2 songs to go. What's the third song we're gonna talk about?
So the next one I think would be Welcome to Paradise, and that one was kind of inspired by, something that's happening in Michigan that, we've been fighting against for years and years, and I don't know. I definitely take a risk by talking about it, but, 'cause I don't wanna get sued by this company, but, um, essentially, there is a Canadian company called Enbridge, and they have, an oil pipeline, and just to throw this out there, I'm not, like I'm not anti-oil or anti I'm not crunchy or any of that stuff. I understand the importance of all that, but, there's one pipeline in particular that runs through Canada, through the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, um, under the Straits of Mackinac, which is I don't know if you're familiar with the Great Lakes. It's like 20% of the world's fresh water is here. I live right on the Great Lakes, but this pipeline is like 70 years old and they haven't maintained it, and there's holes in it, and so it's already starting to leak into the Great Lakes, and they've had other spills, um, happen in other parts of the pipeline farther up north, and so it's very worrisome because if there was a spill in the Great Lakes, it could not only affect the local wildlife, but also local tourism industries, um, and things like that. And we've essentially the state of Michigan has been in litigation with them for the past I don't know, 2 decades or something. And
Oh,
they're a
wow.
billion-dollar company, so they keep finding ways to kick the can down the road. And oh, we're gonna we're gonna fix the pipeline, rather than like Michigan just wants them to shut it down, like use other pipelines, fine, just not this one that goes in the water. Sorry for my French. Um, and now the new thing is they're trying to build a tunnel around it, which also isn't great and brings a bunch of other problems in itself. And so anyway, Welcome to Paradise was kind of uh, inspired by that situation. Like we're just sort of ruining the environment around us for future generations, and nobody gives a. Um, so that's a tough one, and I live right on the Detroit River here, so I see the Great Lakes every day, and I know what it could do to the local economy if that spill were to happen. The Great Lakes actually reach all the way to they go they hit so many different cities, so not just Detroit, but Chicago. They go all the way to Pittsburgh. It connects all the way to Lake Ontario, which goes out the St. Lawrence Straitway all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. It takes like a year for the water to cycle through the Great Lakes, but eventually it would hit all these places. So, yeah, it's very near and dear to my heart. I recorded some sounds actually for Welcome to Paradise. In the breakdown, we had someone here working on our seawall to repair it, and they were using a big, cat digger machinery to drive, a piece of the wall into the bedrock, and I took a sample of that from my phone and recorded it and put it into the song, right before the breakdown hit, so you can kinda hear the drilling. But, yeah, that's what, Welcome to Paradise is about.
No, fair. I really hope, yeah, I really hope that. I mean, it's decades long and stuff like that. They're probably going to be able to keep it going and it probably just keep on happening. But I just really,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I
And
really
the
hope that.
craziest part of it is too, is it is technically it's a foreign company, it's Canadian, and the oil it cuts through Michigan, it goes back to Canada, so we're not even getting a benefit of the oil, like, what? And they've just kept Michigan in litigation for years with this, it's so disheartening, I don't know.
Oh, it
And
must
again, I'm
be.
not anti-oil, like, I realize we need oil to power things, like, I'm not it's just, like, just go around the Great Lakes maybe, like, build a new one that, like, it's not that hard, just, like, take a detour, you know?
Exactly. They've got the money to do it. Just do,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
You could spend billions of dollars fighting the state of Michigan and putting out all this propaganda. You can spend a little bit of money to just build a new one and close that one off that has holes in it. It's already got small leaks, and then the other problem is it's in a spot where people fish, so boat anchors keep hitting it, and they're putting holes in it with the anchors. It's a horrible spot to have a pipeline, but anyway, yeah. I'll get off my soapbox.
Conga Divide, Welcome to Paradise, the third song on the full circle, and I'm definitely going to listen to that bit now. I've heard that song, but I like these little nuances. Right, let's do a quiz. Okay, yeah, this is a quiz. It's not the. You'll understand why I've called it this. Conquer, divide, or the opposite, build and unite. I just, I try. I was like, what's the opposite of conquer, divide? And I was like, build
Build
and
and
unite.
unite.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so basically, there's three lyric lines, and you've got to work out which one isn't conquer, divide, i.e., which one is build and unite. But I have included, to make it a bit easier, I've sort of split them into like separate categories, and I've also like put lyrics from people that might have some relation to the band. So
Okay.
this is so this is to give you so this is from Slow Burn. So which one's the odd one out from this one? Unstoppable force, unmovable object. Second one is how the hell did I wind up here? And the third one is paranoid, I'm gonna have to sell my soul.
A is the the non-conquer divide lyric.
Yeah, 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 exactly. That is that's an Attack song, because you guys obviously did a song with you re-released Paralyzed with Attack. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. These ones are features. So these are songs. So there's three songs, and these are songs that two of them you featured in, and one of them you haven't. First one, and you're showing up at my place for days. The second one is I never knew a shift was happening. And the third one is smile at my therapist, pills on my hit list.
Number 2.
Nice. Yes, because number two was also a song, sorry, by a band that you featured in, but not
Mm.
the same song. 10 years to shift.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Love those stories.
And the first one is with Electric Callboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute banger. And then the last one is just the one you recently released this year
Yeah,
with Stitched
yeah,
Up
the
Heart.
ultimate or sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, glitch.
Yeah.
That was a
I
fun one.
mean, just I'm curious to know about features in general. Like, I mean, h how does it come up? Like, is it something that you guys reach out, or vice versa? Or like, how do features end up happening?
So, well, I think I might change my answer for the 4th song anyway, so I can talk about this directly, if you
Sure.
want.
Yes.
Um, so for I'll talk about, well, I don't wanna the name of the title is a swear word, which I know you're trying to avoid on this podcast, which I'm sorry, I think I've already sworn like 3 times. Uh, but the song in mind is the collab that we did with, um, Electric Callboy, and it would be the F-Boy song, we'll just call it that. And that one came up, in a pretty cool way, honestly. So we were recording Slow Burn when that happened, when they released, their song We Got the Moves, and I saw have you ever seen the music video for We Got the Moves? They've got, like, the bowl cut. For anybody that hasn't seen that music video, go watch it because it's hilarious. It's one of the funniest videos I've seen in years. It's kind of like the Lonely Island vibes, but in packaged in a metalcore song. And just by happenstance, we clicked on it, or I clicked on it on my phone, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is hilarious. I gotta make everyone needs to stop what they're doing right now. I gotta make everyone watch this." So, um, I had our producers watch it, our engineer watch it, the rest of the band, and I kind of filmed their reactions, and I posted a story on Instagram and tagged Electric Callboy. They were Eskimo Callboy at the time, and, they ended up seeing my story, and, Dan Skamo, one of there's 2 Dans in the band, one of them ended up, reaching out to me, and he was like, "Hey, actually, like, we're a fan of you guys. I had your first record. I've got the little key that came with it and everything." And so we just started kind of chit-chatting on Instagram, and some time went by, and he reached out to me and said, "We've got this song we've been sitting on for about 2 years. It's, it's different than what we normally do. It's kind of a pop punk song. Um, would you guys be interested in collabing with us and hopping on this?" And like, "Hell yeah, say less." Like, "This is
Yeah.
awesome." Um, and so they kinda we did a group, Skype call or not Skype, but, whatever, whatever, Zoom call, and, they kinda went over what they were looking for with it. They were like, "It's kinda like a Blink-182 throwback sorta song. Here's kinda where we wanna go," but they at the time, they only had the first verse laid down and maybe, like, half of a chorus, um, and they had the title, and, I took one listen to it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna this song up." I've I've listened to pop punk, like, growing up, I loved Blink-182 when I was a kid and Avril Lavigne and all that, and so I was like, I'm gonna tear this song up." So they're like, "Yeah, just have at it. Send us whatever you want." And so I worked on it for a couple weeks, I'd say. I sat with it and I laid down like three separate chorus ideas and I kind of took what they had, took the core idea of what they had, but I put the tagline sort of at the end of the chorus. I was like, why don't we try this as like the punchline? Because I think it's gonna hit harder if it's here. And anyway, they loved it. And I was like, here's three different A, B, C chorus, like pick whichever one you want. And it was their idea to do the rap part in the bridge as well. And so I kind of threw down a rap idea. But they ended up whatever I sent over, they were like, "Yeah, we like all of it." And I'm like, "What do you mean you like all of it?" They're like, "Yeah, we'll just keep it as is." I'm like, "Really? Okay." So that's why there's like slight variations on each chorus because I was
Yeah.
intending to give them options, I guess, and they're like, "Yeah, they're all good." So I was like, "What? This is crazy." So, I don't know, it was great working with them, 'cause yeah, like, they come up with different stuff than I would ever thought of and vice versa. So anyway, we thought, it would probably just end there and that would be it. We'd put the song out, but then they ended up hitting us up in the summer and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna film a music video for this. Can you be in Germany in 2 weeks?" And we're like, sure, I guess. So, we had to, like, drop what we were doing, or it might have been, like, 10 days or something. It was quick. I can't remember,
Wow.
but it was not a lot of time, and unfortunately, our, screamer at the time, Janelle, didn't have a passport, and so this was post-COVID, and so it used to be where you could there was a couple I think, like, 5 offices in the US, like New York, I think there was one in Texas, maybe Colorado and one in Hawaii where you could go and you could get an emergency, like, 24-hour passport, and, they did away with all that. One of them was in, I think, Dallas, something like that, and so, Janelle lived in Austin at the time, and I was like, "Hey, go up to Dallas, you should just be able to walk in and get a same-day appointment, and we'll just tell them, like, it's an emergency, we need to get your passport right away." And they turned her away when she got there, and she calls me up crying, she's, like, freaking out, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do? We gotta get her to a passport so we can get to Germany to do this video." And so, um, lo and behold, I went deep into the bowels of Reddit, and I was searching, like, "Alright, how can I do this, like, post-COVID? I'm not I'm gonna weaponize my autism here and figure this out." So, I figured out that there was a hotline for appointments, and if you keep they were all booked, but, like, for the foreseeable future, but if you keep calling, eventually, somebody would cancel or change an appointment, and if you were lucky enough to finish filling out the information by the end of the call, you would get an appointment, and so I called for, like, hours, and I remember it would take me like 15 minutes to get through to somebody, and I just kept like, I'd get to the end of the line, and they're like, "Nope, there's no appointments." I'd hang up, I'd call back again. I'd get to the end of the line, no appointments. Finally, I after several hours of doing this, I call back, and there's somebody that was like, "We've got one. It's tomorrow morning in Seattle at, like, 8 a.m." And I'm like, "Alright, let's do it. Let's get it." And so, I gave them her information, got the appointment, and, yeah, she had to I was like, "Janelle," I was like, "Just stay in Dallas, you're going straight to Seattle," so she had to fly to Seattle, like, immediately, and get the passport, and then we had to hope it was mailed during time. Thankfully, it all worked out, but yeah, we got to Germany, we filmed the video, yeah, it was super, super cool. They were all so welcoming, and then eventually they invited us to do the tour with them, which was fantastic. It was, like, one of the best tours we've ever been on. They're so nice and welcoming, and their crew is so nice and welcoming, like, I'm just not used to it because sometimes here in the States, bands, and their crew, there's, like, a bit of a hierarchy, and they kinda just you get what you get on with like, stage, space and things like that, and that's I don't know, you're just expected to take whatever is left, just take the scraps, and that's just how it is, but over there, they were, or sorry, when they came here, they were so accommodating. Their crew was like, "Can we move this out of the way for you so you can put your rig here?" And, like, I'm like, "Geez," like, I've never experienced this before. It was so crazy, to yeah, so I'll never forget that. They're such nice people, so they deserve every ounce of success that they get, and, it's crazy to see them playing, like, stadiums now over in Germany from where they were before. They were at one point, they were about our size, Eskimo Callboy, when they were called that, they were, maybe roughly about the size of our band, it's just crazy to see them, like, head into the stratosphere. But, yeah, they deserve it.
You'll be seeing them at Sonic Temple, won't you?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it'll be nice to catch up with them again. Yeah, we're opening the same stage, so,
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to that.
Any chance of collabing with them when
Yeah,
they're on?
maybe, we'll reach out to them and see if they want Kia to come up. Usually if we're in town or around them, like, yeah, they usually have her come up and perform with them, but we'll see. It depends on whether or not the song's even in their set. I think, the last I heard, they were doing, like, an acoustic rendition of it, so I don't know, it might be different now than the
Fair.
recorded version, so, yeah, it'll be up to them, but just looking forward to catching up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Oh, that's so cool. That's so nice, and so glad to hear them just be so accommodating and their crew just be great people. I'm sorry, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. I guess different bands are gonna have different styles, but it's just so glad to hear that about Electrical and how accommodating they were. Right, this is the last. These are the last ones. So these are from the singles you released last year. So these are the 3 lines. First one is "Wish that I could be your hero." The second one is "Here's the church, here's the steeple." And then the third one is "Your words are a drug, knocked me right to the ground."
Number 2 is Hailstorm.
Yeah, so those two, so I mean, Bad Dreams and The Ocean Between Us, that's great songs, incredible songs. Are they both? I think my understanding is Bad Dreams are sort of like an in between album song.
Yeah, just a one-off single, but I think Oceans will be on released on as part of the new record,
Yeah,
as
sure.
far as I
Ah, so good. When I first heard it, I was like, "Whoa, this is so good." I guess, obviously, something that is a bit different is there's no screaming lyrics and it's screaming in that
Right.
song. If that's something that is gonna continue with the album, or is that something that is gonna be
No,
explored?
we're still gonna have screaming. I might dabble a little bit myself, as you heard on the Stitch Apart collab, but yeah, we'll still it'll be maybe a little bit less screaming than Slow Burn, but we'll still have screaming. Yeah. That's not going
Sure.
anywhere.
No, that's fair. No, I think it's a really, really, really good song and actually perfect because my understanding is that the last song we're choosing?
Well, I ended up I swapped it out for F Boy, but yeah, we can talk about it. It's just, I it's kind of, I don't wanna call it like a love story, but it's kind of like a sad realization that you had this idea, um, you saw a future either with somebody or a second life you could have, and it doesn't end up panning out in the end, so it's kind of a sad, um, hypothetical story, I guess. Yeah, some songs I write are just hypotheticals and not about any person or thing. But, when I when we wrote the instrumentals, That's just kind of the vibe it gave me, and I always try to find the prosody between lyrics and music to make sure they're coherent and cohesive, and, I don't know, for whatever reason, that topic called to me, and yeah, I always liked the title, "The Ocean Between Us." I was actually considering naming Conquer that long time ago, so, um, back when it was, like, cooler to have those long sentence titles, but it ultimately ended up getting scrapped, but, I always liked the name, so I was like, I don't know, it just called to me. I'm like, I feel like it fits this vibe, and the chords are so pretty and melancholic, so I don't know. Yeah, just fit.
No, very nice. Yeah, no, and an incredible song, and definitely a great introduction to hopefully, new music later out this year. And that means we've completed the full circle. Yay! Oh, incredible. Oh, Kristen, thank you so, so much for coming on. It's been an
Yeah, thank you
absolute honor, pleasure.
for having me. I didn't get to ask about you. I wanted to ask about your work as well as a physician. Well, what is your specialty?
So I'm psychiatrist. So I'm
I'm a
I'm
psychiatrist. Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I used to so the way it works is do 2 years of physician training and then you specialize. So I specialized in 2018. So I've been doing my psychiatry work since then. We worked in a prison in Australia, and I also did a little bit of addictions there, so a little bit of general medicine there as well. And then back in the UK, been doing a mixture of lots of psychiatry work. My primary the psychiatry that I'm most interested in is like liaison psychiatry. I don't know what the equivalent name would be called in America, but essentially it's sort of seeing patients in the physical health setting for their sort of psychiatric issues because I find that like very interesting, like all those sorts of
Okay.
stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's sort of my role. When when COVID hit in the UK, all the psychiatrists had to be redeployed to all the general ward hospitals. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was very interesting. But obviously, yeah, like I say, for us, that just didn't happen through in Australia. But yeah, that's my line of work. I'm currently working in a community psychosis center at the moment. That's
Okay.
my line of work. Yeah, so that's good. It's for people with first episode psychosis. So it's quite good to sort of see them at that early stage and try and minimize the chances of them getting that sort of longer term psychotic illness down the line.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
so it's
cool.
good. Yeah, no, and it's an yeah, no, and it was great. It was great to talk about healthcare. It was great to sort of talk about that and the differences between the UK and the US, and just talk about Conquer Divide. I guess is there anything else that you wanted to plug or share before we wrap things up?
Um, Not at the moment because we again, things are kinda up in the air for us right now in terms of timeline, but I guess just go stream us on all platforms. We're out there, and then, come see us if you're around for Sonic Temple. We're playing Sunday, so I think it's May 17th. So, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. No, it's been an absolute honor to have you on. I'm so glad that we managed to make this work, and
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I think you guys are incredible, and it was great to talk about our shared interest in healthcare as well. Look, I wish you all the best, Kristen. Yeah, take care.
Thank you. Yeah, you
Thank you
too.
so much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.